Hello everyone, it is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here, with a brand new video for you. Welcome to part 19 of What If Izuku Were an AFO Fan. I wanted to say hello, and hope you enjoy the torture. With that out of the way, let's get the story going, shall we? Izuku oversaw the repairs and hard work needed to get Island in order. Tamura was never good at overseeing things like this, or just overseeing things in general. Maybe the others were right. Maybe father was right. Izuku pondered as he recalled the arguments everyone was giving that Izuku should be the leader of the League of Villains now, not to mention the conversation he had with All for One regarding possibly becoming his successor over Tamura, before his father had been murdered by those aggravating heroes. Should he speak to Tamura about this? Should he ask if his brother wanted to give him leadership? Well, only one way to find out. The teen thought as he directed a few flying Nomu to patch up the last hole in the walls of the central tower. Hey, Tamura? Can we talk real quick? I hope this doesn't faze you or anything, but we need to talk over this. Izuku announced as he wandered into Tamura's room whilst reading over a checklist detailing what was going to be required if the League wanted to move on to Izuku's next phase of his grand plan. Sure, Izuku, what's up? But can we make it quick? Me and the guys are planning a few matches of oversight. Tamura looked over at Izuku as his player character in the game AFK'd in spawn. Right. Okay, Tamura, I'm gonna be blunt. The others don't seem to be fond of you as the leader of the LOV. Now, I know what I said before, and I know Father wanted you to take over if he... Izuku stuttered, not looking at his brother. Died? Izuku, I'm not dumb. I know everyone thinks I'm not up to the task of leadership. Hell, I don't think I'm up to it. You, on the other hand, you're perfect for the task of leadership. Your name is literally Tactic Kill, the most intelligent villain to grace Japan, damn, maybe even the planet. You've had the Nomu repair Island in a matter of 2 days. All I've done as leader is keep everyone distracted and relaxed while you plan our next move, which is to crush the MLA, according to you. Tamura ranted at his younger brother, venting his own worries about the leadership issue. Look, Izuku, I already came up with an idea if this came up as a problem. You will be the de facto leader, and only members of the League's inner circle will know it, while I, on the other hand, will be your face for the League. I'll appear as the leader to the public, while in reality, you'll be the one in charge, pulling the strings and making the plans for the shadows. So how about it, brother? Izuku looked at Tamura, considering his idea. This was a well-thought-out and logical move. Plus, when it was time, Tamura would definitely need Izuku less as a shadow leader and more as an advisor. All right, Tamura, that sounds like a logical plan. I'll inform the members of our inner circle of the change of leadership. Oh, and Father left a gift for us in my lab. When you're done with the game, please meet me there. Izuku smiled as he waved at Tamura whilst turning and leaving the room, slowly texting all the members of the LOV's inner circle about the changing command. Kurogiri, Slaying Mantis, Pentagonist, Spectre, Gremlin, Feedback, Dobby, Mustard, Twice, Magne, Toga, La Brava, Gentle Criminal, Compress, Mind Terror, Inquisitor, Chronostasis, and Shin Nemoto. After about 4 hours, Tamura entered Izuku's lab, seeing him hunched over a laptop, going over collected battle data from the Island camera system. This would come in handy for creating a customized training program for Dobby. He was the one with the greatest grudge against Endeavor, after all. All right, little brother. I'm here to see this gift Master left us. Tamura looked around the room, noticing Fenrir's and Hell's remains closed inside tubes and surrounded by a clear liquid. Ah, yes! I did say that he left us a gift, didn't I? Well, Tamura, could you lay back inside this machine, please, and you shall see just what he left us. Izuku smiled as he guided his brother into a seat. As Izuku began to activate the device, various mechanical pipes injected into Tamura as slowly the seat was sealed off inside a tube. Tamura Shigaraki, I bestow upon you the quirk, All for One! Izuku cackled as he activated the final procedure, causing the device to transfer the vestige of All for One into Tamura. After a few minutes, the device opened and released him. Jesus fucking Christ, Izuku! Warn me next time. I would have been a lot calmer if you'd just told me you were giving me our master's quirk. Wait, since when did you have a machine that could give quirks? Tamura looked at his smirking younger brother. I'm your brother. I'm allowed to pull crap like this on you besides. We've been pranking each other back and forth since I was adopted by our father. As for this delightful machine, it doesn't just give quirks, it takes them and collects them in a database. Father left behind all for one in its database, leaving me with strict instructions to give it to you. Oh, and in terms of how long we've had this, not long. I made it back when the Alpha Nomu were in their final stages of creation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must head down to the nursery. I want to check on Eri. Izuku left his seat, tightening his tie as he departed his brother's presence. Entering the elevator, Izuku pressed the button to head to the 8th floor, where the League had created a nursery for Eri to care for and be watched over by Compress, Toga, Magni, and Hagakure. Slowly, the elevator stopped at floor 65, where Hagakure entered the elevator with Shinzo. Ah, hello, you two. Up to no good, I trust. Anyway, heading to the nursery too, are we? Izuku joked with the duo. Yeah, good to be bad, right, Toru? By the way, it's good to have you in charge, even if you won't be publicly known as the leader, Izuku, Shinzo said, smirking at Izuku. I couldn't agree more, Hitoshi, on both counts. Good to be bad and good to be led by Izuku. And yeah, we're heading down to the nursery to take over Magni and Compress's shift. Toga has been feeling a little under the weather, so I asked if Shinzo could help me instead, and he so gallantly agreed. Hagakure laughed along, pulling both boys in for a hug. She bribed me with treats. I tried one of the cookies that Mineta made for Eri. They are divine. I can't pass that up. That, and I kinda feel like visiting the kid would be nice. Shinzo trailed off as the floors went down. Aw, Shinzo, you do have a heart. Izuku laughed again. Eventually, they reached the nursery where they found Mr. Compress, who was teaching Eri magic tricks, as Magni stood just off to the side with a happy smile. Noticing the arrival of the three, Compress gave a theatrical bow to Izuku, which Eri copied with a tiny trace of a smirk on her face. Everyone assigned to Eri's care had been working so hard for this, and it was finally paying off. Izuku just wished he could have helped more, but he was in prison for God knows how many days. Well, how are we doing today, little sorceress? I see a cheeky smile on that adorable little face of yours. So, tell Uncle Izuku how things have been. Izuku crouched down, patting Eri's head. With no worries of her quirk getting out of control thanks to this nursery being practically designed to nullify the quirks of anyone who had their genetic signature targeted by the system, and the only people on that list were everyone on the active Global Hero database and Eri. It was amazing, Uncle Izuku. Uncle Compress showed me how he tricks people with his marbles by hiding one in his mouth. His hands are so fast. Eri looked at Compress, hugging the man's leg, and this gave Izuku an idea. Compress, I have an offer. More a question, really. Would you like to officially adopt Eri as her father? I understand if you need some... Before he could even continue, Compress took hold of Izuku's shoulder. Truly? Of course, yes. If she will accept, then I will gladly be her father. My wonderful little apprentice here deserves whatever her heart desires. Everyone in the room turned to look at Eri, whose eyes were on the brink of bursting with tears, but her smile was larger and more radiant than ever. Yes, yes! Papa Compress! Papa Compress! Eri hugged both Compress and Izuku as she let her tears of joy hit the floor in the nursery. Well, it seems all is as it should be. Just to keep you all informed, I will be departing Island to retrieve something. I shouldn't be but a few days, and the heroes cannot touch me now that I have all my quirk slots filled. Izuku smiled with pride as he patted Eri's head and departed the room. Ugh, busy, busy, busy. He can enjoy the small things. Oh well, once everything is as it should be, then he could stop running himself so ragged. A warp gate opened far into the forested mountains of Japan. From the misty warp gate emerged Tactikill, Kurikiri, and Ragnarok. The three followed a set of coordinates that all for one had left them going deeper into the mountains, until they found what, or rather who, they were looking for. A gigantic male with a monstrous appearance, who was hunched over a tiny radio. Ah! You must be the Gigantom Machia I've heard about. I must say, Father certainly wasn't joking when his message mentioned you would be useful to us. Although I think I'll find an alternative use for you than he expected. Gigantom Machia slowly turned and was about to slam his fist into Tactikill, but he growled and returned staring at his radio.
I have no time for you little man with metal arms. I obey and listen only to all for one.
He growled once more, noting that Tactikill hadn't left him alone. As I said, My father mentioned if I really must spell it out for you, he was all for one. Tactical's words shook Gigantom Machia, an heir to All for One's legacy? But he was so young, and didn't look too strong. Then again, looking at the two following him, maybe he was stronger than appearances gave.
Fine. Only Master All for One knew where to find me. If you are his heir, you must prove your strength to me, and then I shall follow.
Tactical waved Ragnarok and Kurogiri away as he laughed at Gigantom Machia. Follow me? Prove myself? I don't need you, well, not you alone. I just need your body and quirks. So in short, you're coming with us whether you consent or not. My plans are absolute, and none can disrupt them or stand in their way. Izuku smiled as a bright ring of bright blue flame surrounded Gigantom Machia. Charging through the flames, Gigantom Machia took minimal damage as he clapped his hands on Tactical like a fly. As he pushed his palms back, a floating and yawning Tactical emerged from the inside of his hands, using permeation to evade the attack. Gigantom Machia attacked repeatedly, all of them permeating through Tactical over and over again. You done? Tactical laughed, before straining to lift Gigantom Machia, then smash him into the ground. Guess this hulking brute was too heavy for telekinetic wrath. Or was he? Time to empower his quirk, the one way he only knew how. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has got you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. Kurogiri, remind me quickly what will be happening November 12th? Kurogiri recoiled slightly before realizing Izuku's plan. The wedding of Eraserhead and G-Force, or rather, your biological mother, Inko Midoriya. Izuku smiled through gritted teeth. His mask's eyes glowed bright as he flooded the area with killing intent, causing Kurogiri, Ragnarok, and Gigantom Machia to fall backwards. With ease, Tactical began to lift Gigantom Machia, his rage fueling the power of his quirk and One for None boosting it even further. Seeing no point in a drawn-out fight, Tactical slammed Gigantom Machia into the ground over and over before throwing him into a mountain several miles away, knocking the giant out cold. None have forced me to push my telekinetic wrath quirk this far with my newfound rage power boost, along with One for None, too. Except for when I broke out of my cell beneath UA. I am going to enjoy tearing you apart molecule by molecule and reassembling you with only the finest candidates to create my newest alpha Nomu, Nidhogg. Tactical's killing intent grew and grew until he took a deep breath, knowing that this fight was over. Kurogiri, please send Gigantom Machia to my labs designed for larger subjects. In the meantime, Ragnarok and I are going to do some quirk shopping to finish Project Nidhogg's wish list. Tactical's killing intent faded from the area, whilst he and Ragnarok stared off down the mountainsides, seeing the edges of the city in the far distance. Sat in an office, the reports made for grim reading. Izuku Shigaraki, a tired woman echoed in her head. Slowly, a door opened as Nezu entered his office, accompanied by Hawks, Endeavor, and Melissa Shield. Miss Midoriya, you shouldn't be up this late. You have such a big day coming up in 6 days. I see you're reading the newest file on your son. Well, at least get some caffeine in your system. Going over the new intel is going to be even more of a pain since apparently that Kurogiri and Golden Fox individuals decided to leave the League's traitor's remains in a box outside the commission building along with Island camera footage showing us he did indeed die. Nezu groaned, as for possibly the first time in a long time, he didn't pour tea, but instead coffee for everyone in the room, as he sat around a table, looking at Izuku's latest villain data that the commission could pull together. 9 quirks. Guess the kid finished gathering his strength. Ugh, he was playing us from the first second we locked him up. The first thing he asked for was tea of a high quality. We should have been smarter. We should have been able to connect it to the missing persons case regarding Psycho Intelli. Of course he stole her quirk, and now he has permeation too. He's nearly unstoppable, Endeavor griped as he grunted whilst adjusting his prosthetic arm, designed by the recently deceased power loader and David Shield. Yes, Endeavor, nearly being the key phrase there. Shigaraki is clearly emotionally unstable, but here's the thing. He is covering for his weaknesses with extra quirks. But that's just it. We know all of these quirks' downsides and weaknesses, and he has them all at once. For instance, he can't use telekinetic wrath if we have him restrained. Next, we need to get rid of those claws without ripping the pack itself off. That way, he is severely reduced in how much he can do in unarmed combat. See where I'm going? Melissa said as she pointed at the list of quirks Izuku was detailed as having. Hawks felt a brief buzzing in his pocket, and as the winged hero checked his phone, he went wide-eyed. Snatching the remote off Nezu's desk, he switched the TV on to the news. Injured, but I'm afraid we don't know how many of the villains Ragnarok and Tentacle kidnapped or killed. But one hero in particular managed to survive the attack, actually managing to go one-on-one with the villain Ragnarok. However, Mirko is currently in critical condition, but she was able to make a statement. The news quickly cut to a heavily beaten and battle-scarred Mirko, who was missing both arms. That monster took my arms! And that boy! No, they were both monsters. Nonetheless, he held her by the throat just floating there. Son of a... What? Oh, I can't swear on air? You try not swearing after you just had your arms ripped off while you watched helplessly as some smug villain half your age held your unconscious friend by the throat. He must have wanted her quirk for another one of those things. I up bad this time, Ryuko. I should have called in backup when we had the time. Arrogant little even said he'd give us a 10-second head start even if we wanted to run or first hit if we wanted to fight. Guess I should have listened to Ryuko and retreated to call in backup. Worst part is, he even looked at me and said I wasn't worth killing or using for a Nomu since I was broken. Just cut the camp. Mirko's interview was hard to watch. What was worse was this confirmed that Izuku had total control of Hisashi again. Worst yet, he took down Ryuko with apparent ease, while Hisashi, or Ragnarok, brutalized Mirko. After returning to Eye Island, Izuku happily smiled at the collection of heroes, thugs, and civilians he had collected to create his latest Alpha Nomu, Project Nidhogg. As Izuku typed at his computer going over quirk data and the biochemical makeup of the various people he held captive for this, Chronostasis entered the lab, clearing his throat. Apologies for the interruption, sir, but it would seem that Toga has contracted a very serious disease and has been placed on lockdown in her room for the time being to prevent infection. She seems to have contracted a case of Divic 91, with enough rest and water. I think she should be better by the end of, I would assume, a month, given the medical equipment we have on hand here. Izuku glanced back at his chief of medical staff and nodded. Understood, Chrono. Toga is a key part of the team, but then again, we all are. Please ensure she has a speedy and comfortable recovery. Now then, how goes things with Eri's trust building towards yourself and Shin? Izuku spoke softly as he closed the last document he needed to go over. As well as can be expected given what happened to her, but thanks to Compress saying we were working to help her escape but needed to remain undercover, she has some trust in us a little. However, Eri did ask me to make a request of you. To quote her exactly, could you make Mr. Chrono and Mr. Shin less scary? I assume she has some form of PTSD from our masks. Can't blame her, honestly. Chronostasis looked over at Gigantom Machia, suspended in a massive tube, along with various heroes, thugs, and villains. One face he recognized among them being Ryuko. Very well. It is about time you two were assigned a new look. Be sure to speak with Labrava and May in the support lab and tell them that this has my approval and recommendation as something that needs to be done. We do want Eri to feel as comfortable here as possible, especially if I'm going to be teaching her to master her quirks soon. Now, before you go off and get Shin and head to get a new look that doesn't involve those Plague Doctor masks, could you send Dabi my way? I require a duplicate of his quirk for my newest project. Izuku smirked as he marveled at what would become the Nomu named Nidhogg. Then a spark of genius overtook Izuku's facial expression as he pulled up Toga's medical file. Memorizing it, he quickly departed the lab and headed for Toga's room, putting on a simple face mask to prevent infection. Chronostasis chased after Izuku the whole way until he realized Izuku's idea. Oh, hey Doc, Chrono. Zuzu. What are you both doing here? Worried about me, Zuzu? These damn coughs and sore throat. Toga spoke in a raspy voice as she watched the two masked men enter her room from the comfort of her bed. Slowly, Izuku began removing his glove. From what we know, Toga, this will cure you instantly, but there are a few downsides. It may hurt quite a bit, so it's your choice. I can use Overhaul to cure you, or you can let your body naturally fight off this virus. I won't force the former on you. It's your choice. Izuku spoke calmly with a respectful bedside demeanor, Then again, when he was learning medicine from Ujiko, he did pose as a medical student for a time, so he kinda had this down. That's smart and kinda sweet of you, Izuku. Guess that's why you're the boss and your brother's the face. Yeah, I can grit my teeth and take my medicine. Use overhaul on me. Just be careful I'm not one of your Nomu. Toga smiled weakly at Izuku as she fought to speak past her sore throat. After a few hours, Izuku had dealt with Toga's illness, and she was back to her normal self. If normal could be used to describe Himiko Toga. The procedure was indeed painful to endure, but Toga did as she said. She grit her teeth and went through with it. Izuku was typing up some new notes on his overhaul quirk in his lab until Dabi entered. Hey Izuku, heard you needed a copy of my quirk. Holy hell, how big is that guy? What kind of frickin' Nomu are you cooking up this time? That you'd be using someone like that in the mix. Izuku simply smirked at Dabi as he directed the holder of the cremation quirk to a highly advanced piece of tech he had set up nearby that allowed the duplication of quirks and the transfer of said duplicated quirks. The only thing being required was the original quirk user's DNA in a large dose. Usually, Izuku would take a single pint of blood from the donors, as this was usually sufficient for a stable quirk duplication. Oh, you know how it is, Dabi. I'm just making another Alpha Nomu, and this one might be stronger than Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hell. So let's get to work. We have a Dragon Alpha Nomu to make. And that's our video for the day, so thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I go, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to go over with you. First, I want to thank some of our patrons. BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Meals, Adam Zadgel, Zill, ZavBeat03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I also want to thank some of our YouTube members. Toy Acosta, Rob the King, SithLord906, CF2364, and Knuckles, Remy Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Third, if you're in the mood for some more great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check out more if you're interested. Fourth, on behalf of We the Celestials, I do want to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Give some love to the writer and the audio editor and video editor. Their details can be found in the description below, as well as mine. Lastly, if you like what we do here with the Celestials, I want to extend an invitation to join our team. There's only one caveat. You gotta be 16 years or older to join our team. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. And that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim, Mustache out.